That rainy night, Mr. Adamu kept on crying as he walked on the lonely street. He couldn't believe what just happened.
My God, what have I done wrong? After all that I have been doing for that girl was to love and cherish her, is this how she chose to repay me?
Few years ago, in a little village called Ako, a man called Adamu lost his wife during childbearing when their only daughter Flora was still very little. Adamu was a peasant, hard-working farmer, always trying to put food on the table, but he lost his beautiful wife while trying to give birth to their second child. Adamu could not stop crying when the doctor broke the news to him. People sympathized with him, but Adamu was left alone to take care of his only daughter Flora. Adamu vowed to make sure that he gave Flora the best in life, and he made sure that Flora did not lack anything. Adamu would toil all day and night in the farm and even go as far as borrowing money from people just to make sure that Flora went to school. One day, Flora came to her father crying with a letter in her hand saying,
"Daddy, I just got admission into secondary school, but I'm sad. I don't know how we are going to get the money for my schooling."
But Mr. Adamu assured her that he was going to figure a way out. He decided to start selling some of his lands his father left for him, just to make sure that he sent his daughter to secondary school. People kept on advising him against that, but he didn't listen to them, telling them that his daughter's education was what matters to him a lot. One fateful day, Flora left for her school still looking beautiful as ever, but forgot her textbook at home. Mr. Adamu talked to himself that his daughter might be very worried, so he packed up the textbook and left for his daughter's school. Meanwhile, Flora was chatting and having fun with her friends under a mango tree in their school, when some group of cute boys walked up to them and started chatting with them. Raymond, the most cute guy in the whole school, walked up to Flora and asked her name. And Flora started blushing as she saw this as a dream come true for her. She was still chatting with Raymond when she began to hear her name from afar. She sighted her father running towards her and waving her textbooks at her. Her friends and their boyfriends were all paused. Amara, one of her friends, asked,
"Flora, who is that poor-looking man waving at you? Is he your father?"
Flora was ashamed on seeing her father in those dirty clothes. She had initially told her friend that her father was an engineer and he lived overseas. When Flora heard Amara's question, she replied,
"No, he can never be my father. He's just one of those men that won't let me rest. But I've told him I'm not interested."
Adamu was embarrassed by those words. Hot tears began to flow from his cheeks. His heart felt a sense of betrayal from the only person he loved and cared for in this world.
My daughter, I just came to give you your textbooks. Why will you do such a thing to me?
He said as the textbooks fell on the floor. He just looked at her quietly and left. Flora felt a spring of guilt and emotions in her heart, but she didn't want to open up and become a laughingstock. She just stood up quietly and left for the library. Her friends were surprised by her change in mood and action, but they just took her excuse for an answer. That rainy night, Adamu kept on crying as he walked on the lonely streets. He could not just believe what happened to him. He kept on weeping and riding his old rusty bicycle.
My God, what have I done wrong? After all that I have been doing for that girl was to love and cherish her, is this how she chose to repay me?
Adamu went into a bar and drank himself to stupor until he eventually went home. When he got home, he noticed his daughter was already at home waiting for him to return.
"Daddy, welcome."
But Adamu refused to answer her. Instead, he walked towards his room. The next morning, Flora noticed that her father was not yet awake. Flora decided to go and check in his room, and she met him still lying on the bed. She had a feeling that this was unusual, and she approached him, and she noticed that he was no longer breathing well. She screamed and started calling the neighbors for help. They came in and rushed Adamu to the nearest hospital. That day, Flora could not concentrate in school. She was so worried about her father's health throughout the day. Her friends walked up to her and asked what the problem was, but she kept on telling them that she was fine. Raymond tried talking to her that day, but she refused to answer him throughout the day. Immediately school was over, she ran straight to the hospital and was almost knocked down by a car. When she got to the hospital, she was told that her father was still in coma due to excessive drinking of alcohol. The doctor further advised her not to go and meet her father, but she refused and forced her way into his ward. On getting to his bed, tears rolled down her cheeks as she saw her father in a critical condition. Her loving and caring dad was now fighting for his life.
Dad, I know you're in there somewhere, and I hope you can hear me. I'm sorry for what I said yesterday. It's all my fault. I just forgot how you put in your efforts to give me that better life I desire. I was not ashamed of you. I was ashamed of myself and what people would say. But I'm so sorry, Dad. I hope Mom would forgive me in her grave.
Mr. Adamu immediately coughed and regained consciousness. He was full of emotions as he hugged his daughter tight to his chest. The doctors and nurses began to run helter-skelter when they heard that Adamu was finally awake, but were all shocked when they saw Adamu hug his daughter. Joy kept on flowing down their cheeks, and they all watched in excitement. Few weeks later, Raymond and her other friends came to meet Flora when she was studying under a mango tree. They complained to her on how they felt that she was no longer hanging around with them, and she explained to them that she didn't want to hang around with people of higher classes because it made her to form to be what she was not. She explained to them that she just wanted to be in her world while waiting for her dreams of life to come true. Some of her friends were touched, and they began to confess that they were not actually who they claimed to be. Flora was amazed, and she kept on laughing in shock. Few years later, Flora graduated as one of the best medical students in her school. Her father was so happy, and he whispered, "Your mother will be so proud of you," as he hugged his daughter very tight to his chest. Flora's sad tale and story ended up in joy and became an inspiration for young people in the school. The end. What do you think about Flora's action towards her father in the school? Let me know your answer in the comment section below. This story teaches us not to forget the sacrifices our parents make for us, because they pass through that suffering to give us a better life and a bright future. I know you love this story. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. And don't forget to share to your friend. See you in our next story. Bye.